Hi guys, welcome back. So today we're out at the range and I've got a pair of Taurus Millennium G2 pistols. I've got the PT-111, which is the 9mm version, and I've got the PT-140, which is the 40 caliber version. So today we're just going to be running some rounds through them, seeing how they run, seeing how they function. And these pistols really are pretty controversial pistols with people. You got people on this side saying that they're excellent guns for the money, good budget guns, and you got the people on the other side saying that they're complete junk and they'd never consider buying them. So are they good pistols? Are they junk? Let's find out. All right, so to get things started, let's start with the PT-111, which is the 9mm version. Now, this is a brand new gun. It's never had a single round fired through it. And not only that, I've never shot one of these Millennium G2 pistols, so let's see how the gun does. Let's see how I can do. So let's just see how it goes. Here we go. Okay, so it is a 12 round mag, and as you can see, shot all of them just fine. Locked back on the empty mag, so I've got one more loaded up. Now, initial impressions after the first magazine, it shot pretty good. It handled okay. The trigger is different. We'll just say that. It's definitely different. Definitely not the best trigger I've ever felt, but definitely usable. I got all my shots on target, so first mag went well, second mag in. Here we go. And second mag, perfect, locked back, and all that. So first two mags went well. Like I said, the gun's shooting pretty good. It's shooting pretty much point of aim. So let's get loaded back up and do some more shooting. All right, so round two with the PT-111, got the mags loaded back up. This time I turned the camera around, that way you can kind of see the targets as I'm shooting instead of just staring at me. So one thing I did notice when I was loading the magazines back up was these are 12 round magazines, and I do have them loaded to full capacity, all 12 rounds. And with the Taurus, as you can see, the mags go in very, very easily. Now, I know with a lot of pistols out there these days, if you load the magazine up to full capacity, even, especially when the guns are brand new, sometimes the mags can be really, really tight and you kind of got to, use some force to get the magazines in, but that's definitely not the case with this Taurus. The mags just go right in. So I thought that was something to note, and just something I noticed here right off the bat. So we'll get loaded up, and as you can see, I got some targets set up down there, so I'll try to stay out of the way so you guys can kind of see it. So here we go. All right, again, all 12 rounds locked back. And again, all 12 rounds locked back. So far, 4 magazines through this gun. It's shooting really, really good. All right, so we did a little shooting so far with the 9mm version. So now let's step up to its bigger brother, the PT-140, which is a 40 caliber pistol. Now, as far as the pistol goes, the dimensions and everything are pretty much identical to the 9mm version. Only difference is you've got 10 round magazines instead of the 12, because of course you've got the bigger round. And again, just like the 9mm version, loaded up full capacity, the mags go right in. So now this one here has been used before, because both of these pistols are borrowed from a buddy of mine, and he had this 40 caliber version first, so he has shot this one, and he recently picked up the 9mm version. So this one has had some rounds through it. So let's go ahead and see how this one does. And even though this has had rounds through it, this is the first time for me to shoot it. So let's just see how it does. Okay, so first round, or first mag, ran perfectly, slide lock back, no issues. Now, one thing of course is definitely more recoil than the 9mm, which is to be expected, but still not uncontrollable or anything like that. So here we go with mag number 2. And again, lock back, no issues. Killed my target, if you could see, the target fell down. But yeah, as far as the gun goes, it's running good. And like I said, definitely more recoil being the 40 caliber, but not unmanageable. So both pistols running good so far. All right, so we're back here again with the 40 cal version, and this time I've got the camera turned back around. That way you guys can kind of see how the recoil is. So here we go. Okay, still again, locked back, no issues. Okay. Okay, both mags locked back, no issues with either pistol so far. So far guys, these pistols are doing really well. And one thing I can tell you though, so far with this 40 caliber version, the trigger does feel lighter on this one. The one on the 9mm version, it feels a little heavy. Now I'll go over more details on the trigger when we do a close-up of these, but as of right now, this 40 caliber version definitely feels lighter than the 9mm, and I'm assuming that that's probably because this one has been shot before. Before I picked up these pistols from the buddy of mine, he, like I said, had rounds through them, so I'm assuming that this trigger's probably broke in, whereas the 9mm version isn't. So if you pick one of these up and you got a heavy trigger, then you can probably count on them lightening up after you use them. All right, so now let's take a closer look at both of these pistols and go over some of their features. Now, just note before we get started, both of these pistols are safe and clear. Now, one is a 9, one is a 40, but if you stack them up next to each other, they are going to be identical, both length and height. So as you can see, the dimensions of both of these pistols are exactly the same. So let's see, let's start off. We'll just show the 40 caliber version. So as you can see, this is a two-tone gun. I do believe they offer them in all black and maybe some different options, but these are both the two-tone finish. These are the ones he decided to go with. He liked these the best. So here on the slide, as you can see towards the front, we don't have any front serrations, but it does have these little, I guess, scallop type cuts here on the front. And I'm assuming that's probably just to cut down on weight a little bit, but it also gives a pretty decent look to the front of the gun. Here on the rear, we do have some nice, I guess, Glock-like serrations here on the back that are easy to use, easy to grab a hold of when you're going to, rack the gun and all that. So definitely some usable serrations there in the back. Here on the top, you do have a loaded chamber indicator. I don't have a round in there, so I can't really show you that now, but it does say loaded when up. So you do have a loaded chamber indicator there on the top. As far as the sights go, you do have a 3-dot sight system. And this rear sight here, if you can tell, it is adjustable for both, I think, windage and elevation. So you do have some adjustments there on your rear sight. Up here on the front, you do have a small accessory rail. And one thing I noticed, I tried to put some of my different lights on here, being that it is so small, a lot of your standard lights aren't going to work. I tried the Surefire X300, I tried the TLR1 from Streamlight, and both of those lights are too big. They won't go in this notch. So if you're going to run a pistol light or a laser on here, you're going to have to get something that is a little more compact. I'm not sure exactly which ones will fit, but all the ones that I had and tried definitely doesn't fit on here. But if you have a smaller one and you want to run a light or a laser on here, they do give you the rail for that option. This being the 40 caliber version, it does shoot from a 10 round magazine, and both of them do have this little pinky base pad on there that allows you to get a full grip on it. And the same goes for the 9mm version. It does have the pinky extension little deal on here on both magazines, and it is a 12 round magazine. So you got 10 and 12 round capacity, which is pretty good for a little, I guess these would be considered subcompact pistols. So definitely decent capacity for a gun this size. So now let's move on to the grip. And this is one area that I think they did really well on. The texturing or stippling or whatever you want to call it that are in these sections here is very aggressive. So the gun really does stick in your hand really well when you're firing it. Now I haven't carried either one of these pistols, but I know he does carry this 40 caliber version. I don't know how well that's going to do against bare skin. It kind of feels like the SIG E2 style grips, I guess it would be a good explanation for it, or a description of it, I should say. So very, very nice stippling here on the grip. Now there's a lot of areas that aren't textured, but I haven't seen that being a problem, and it has been pretty hot out here today. My hands have been sweaty, and the grip wasn't something that was slipping around on me. But if you're the type of person who likes to do really aggressive stippling on the whole gun, I mean, you got a lot of surface here that you can add to it, but the stippling that they do give you is definitely pretty excellent. The magazine release works really well. The mags drop out pretty easily. So now let's move on to the trigger, and I kind of touched on this a little bit before when we were doing the shooting part of it. Now this is the 40 caliber version, and I did weigh both of these triggers on my Lyman gauge, and this 40 cal version, like I was saying, how it felt lighter than the 9mm version. This one was breaking around 5 pounds, maybe a couple ounces over, but right around 5 pounds pretty consistently on my Lyman gauge, whereas this 9mm version was breaking around 8 pounds. A couple breaks were a little under, but right around the 8-pound mark. So definitely quite a bit heavier on the 9mm version. And that was, I'm assuming, because this one didn't have any rounds through it. Like I said, that we put the first rounds through the 9mm here today, but the 40 cal already had rounds through it before I borrowed these pistols, so I'm assuming that this trigger just broke in a little bit, and you could probably expect the same thing for the 9mm version. But as far as the weight goes, not too bad on the 40 cal version, and surely the 9mm will get better. So that's the weight. But as far as the trigger pull and everything goes, definitely not the greatest on these two pistols. I'll go ahead and show you how the trigger pull is. Now, if you can see that, all that travel is your take up. So, I mean, it almost goes all the way to the rear. So a lot of take up, and then it breaks. So let me rack the slide here real quick and I'll show you the reset. So after you fire that first shot, the reset right there. So definitely a short, nice reset. You could hear it, you can feel it. So once you do that initial shot and get all that take up out of there, if you're the type of person like me who likes to ride the reset when you shoot, definitely short trigger pulls after that first one is fired and you take up all that slack. So after you do it, definitely not a bad pull after that, but the trigger is, even on that break, a little mushy. So it's definitely not the best trigger, but at a gun at this price point, you really can't complain about it. It is definitely a usable trigger, not too heavy, just a little spongy and a lot of take up. As far as breaking the guns down go, it's very Glock-like if you're used to that. So just, again, double check, make sure there's nothing in it. Pull the trigger, and you do have these two takedown tabs just like a Glock. So just pull the slide back ever so slightly. Well, remove the magazine first, pull the slide back just like a Glock, pull these down, and the slide comes off. And on the inside, you got a double recoil spring, and it breaks down just like most of your standard pistols of these days. So you got your barrel here, and then putting it back together, of course, just put it all back together just like you would most modern pistols these days. I'll get that spring back in here, maybe. All right, there we go, got it back in. I guess what the problem was is I didn't have the spring in the front of the slide just right. So if you're putting this back together, just make sure you see that black part in the front of the slide. Make sure that's flush in there, and then your spring will go back in like it's supposed to. So after you get that, this is very Glock-like. Again, just put it on there, rack it once, and the gun is back together, ready to go. So I guess the only other thing I do want to talk about while we have it here on the table is these pistols are going to come with a manual thumb safety. And, like in my opinion, I don't like manual thumb safeties, but if you do want one of these pistols and you are going to carry it, it does have a thumb safety. So just when you go out and practice, just make sure you use it. That way, if it does get kicked on when you're carrying it or whatever, just make that part of your draw stroke. Just make sure you always click that down and get used to it. That way it doesn't be a problem if you ever have to use this gun in a self-defense situation. But anyhow, guys, there's a closer look at both of these pistols and some of their features. All right, so now I just want to do a quick size comparison between the Taurus and the Glock 26, just to give you guys an idea on the size of the Taurus. So I'll stack them up here, and I'll try to show you guys the best that I can. But as you can see, the Taurus definitely is a little bit longer in the grip. And really that's because the Taurus holds 2 more rounds. The Glock only holds 10, the Taurus holds 12. So the grip's gonna have to be a little bit longer to get those 2 extra rounds in. So it is a little bit longer in the grip. But as you can see, the Glock is a little bit longer in the slide and barrel, so you have a little bit longer barrel in the Glock. And then as far as width goes, it does look like the Glock is going to be a little bit thicker. So there is kind of a quick size comparison between the popular Glock 26 and I figured if I compared it to this one, a lot of you guys would kind of get an idea on the size of the Taurus, being that the 26 is so popular and has been around for a long time. So there is kind of an idea on what you can expect size-wise from the Taurus. All right, guys, so now it's time for some final thoughts on both of these pistols before I end this video. Now, out here at the range today, I put several hundred rounds through both of these pistols, or through each one of these pistols, I should say, without a single malfunction of any kind. 100% reliability out of both of them. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the 9mm was brand new, never had a round through it. But the 40, he had shot it before he let me borrow these 2 pistols. I'm not sure how many rounds he had through it. The 9 was brand new, but either way, both of them 100% reliability. So some of the things that I do like about the guns, the grip texture. I really do think they did an excellent job putting such an aggressive texturing here on the grip, with it being hot and humid out here today, with my hands being sweaty. The gun's really stuck in my hand, even with the snappier 40 cal round. They definitely stayed planted with that nice, aggressive texture. I haven't carried either one of these, so I don't know how that's going to be up against bare skin. But as far as just out here shooting them, it does a great job keeping the gun locked into your hand. And as far as all the ergonomics of the gun go, I think it's a very ergonomic gun. It feels really, really good in your hand. Very comfortable to shoot out here all day at the range. So I think they did a good job on the ergos. The pinky extension on the magazines I think was a plus. It allowed me, at least with my small hands, to get a firm grip on the gun, get my pinky on there. So overall, the ergos with the texturing, a very comfortable gun to shoot. Now the trigger, like I said, not the best trigger. As far as the weight goes, being 5 pounds, that's pretty nice. But as far as like the trigger pre-travel, the sponginess, all that stuff, it leaves a lot to be desired for the trigger. But at this price point, you really can't complain. Now, touching on the price point, that's where this gun really does shine. You can really find these guns on average for around the $250 mark. So, very, very inexpensive gun, great budget price gun, or, somebody who's a new shooter or on a tight budget, something like that, this is where this gun's really gonna shine. You can even search online, and some places you can find this for as low as $199. That's an amazing price for, what you're getting. And, in my opinion, if you're on a budget, or if you're a new shooter, you just want to try something out, I think this gun's really going to shine for you. Now, if you're one of those people who shoot thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds a year or a month or something like that, this probably isn't the gun that you're going to want. You're going to want to step up to like a Glock or an M&P or something like that. But if you have the money to spend on thousands and thousands of rounds of ammo a month or a year, then you're not even going to bother looking at budget guns like this. Anyhow, you're going to step it up to the guns like the Glock, the M&P, who have been proven to be able to run those kind of round counts and durability, all that stuff. But with these, if you're just like a weekend shooter, you like to go out and plink every now and then, you want a small light carry gun, or just something to lay next to the bed at night, I think this is a perfect option for you. A lot of people hate on these guns, and I think it's just mainly because they're not going to be as durable in the long run as like a Glock or something like that. But if you're not abusing them, shooting thousands of rounds, a week, a month, a year, something like that through it, I think it's going to work out just fine. I think it's a great option, especially at the price point. But anyhow, guys, if you have any questions or comments about anything you've seen in this video or anything else you see here on the channel, ask in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to get back with you. And as always, I appreciate everybody watching. I appreciate everybody subscribing, and we'll catch you in the next one.